where it was different kinds of paintings. So everything onto your right hand side, ladies and gentlemen, this is already a part of the first district of the city center. You can see that there are more modern buildings than we have seen in the 9th district, the street before. Well, the reason is that this area was the battle line in the last days of World War II. It was the Soviet army arriving first here in Vienna, and they were fighting against the German-Austrian army. And the buildings here were not destroyed by air raid, but they simply were shot down. And around 30% of the buildings in Vienna were destroyed by air raid during World War II. And you can imagine after that they didn't care a lot about the beauty of the facades and the beauty of the buildings. They only had to build apartment blocks as soon as possible. So important buildings such as churches or palaces, they tried to restore them after World War II when they were not destroyed completely, but only destroyed parts of it. It is copies of former styles. And we will see the most beautiful buildings along this ring road later on. And you will see that we have, there is live music here, Viennese music mainly, waltzes and so on. Well, onto your left-hand side in front of you, the yellow-white building. This is one of our 5-star deluxe hotels, the Imperial Hotel. Many state guests stayed here. It was Queen Elizabeth of England, for example, Ronald Reagan, and also George W. Bush. He wanted to get the presidential suite, but the problem was he couldn't get it. Mick Jagger was already in. And after the Stones left, they had to renovate the whole hotel. But one of the most important buildings along the ring road can be seen in front of you, on your right-hand side. It's the large building with the green roof and the 2 riders on top. This is Vienna State Opera. Well, Vienna State Opera is one of the leading opera houses in the world. You can name it with the Metropolitan Opera or Covent Garden. And every last Thursday it moves to a beautiful ballroom. It's the time of Vienna's Opera Ball. And you can see that the ring road was built as a wide, spacious boulevard with 2 lines on each side. So they were made for the pedestrians and for the horse riders. Well, no more horse riders, but bike riders today. It's a beautiful biking route. And monuments, so for example, onto your right-hand side, the monument of the famous German poet Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. And parks along this ring road, and monuments in the parks. So in a moment onto your right-hand side, you can see the monument of the famous composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. You will see the white marble statue, a very elegant marble statue. Mozart, very tall, very slim. Well, to be honest, Mozart was not tall. He was definitely not slim, but he had beautiful long fingers to play the piano and the violin so beautifully. Well, onto your right-hand side, that's already a part of the Imperial Palace, and we will see parts of it later on our walking tour. While onto your left-hand side, this is the Art History Museum, one of the leading picture galleries in the world, and the lady ruler of the Habsburgs, Maria Theresa was her name. She was born exactly 300 years ago, in 1717, and those who go to Schönbrunn Palace in the afternoon will hear much more about her. So among the museum. But another very impressive building, ladies and gentlemen, can be seen in a moment onto your left-hand side along the ring road, more than 2,000 rooms. It is built in a style which we call New Gothic style. The original Gothic style goes back to the Middle Ages. But have a look now when we pass by at the beautiful facade of the City Hall with all the decorations and sculptures. So a beautiful designed facade. Well, on to your right-hand side, this is the largest theater in Vienna. It's the Court Theater. And again, onto your right-hand side, you can read Café Landmann. Well, this is again one of the famous coffee houses here in Vienna. Vienna has a long tradition in coffee houses, and I will tell you a little bit more about them later on. Well, onto your right-hand side in a moment, you will see one of the very few remaining parts of the former city walls. And look how close the houses were built next to them. You can see them now onto your right-hand side. Oh, yeah. While onto your left-hand side, this is Vienna's university. It's the oldest university in the German-speaking world, going back to the 1360s already. And again, onto your left-hand side, you will see the only church which was built along the ring road. You can see the two spires, and the style, you can see it is the same as the city hall is. It is again new Gothic style. So Gothic style originally goes back to the Middle Ages, and this again, it is a copy of this style, so that's the reason why we call it new Gothic style. And the name of this church, it's Votivkirche. Votivkirche. Votiv means to donate something to God, to say thank you. And there is a story about this church. So it was the penultimate emperor of Austria, Francis Joseph, the one who ordered to remove the city walls. When he was a young man, he was attacked by a tailor. Well, the emperor was not hurt badly. The right now, behind the petrol station. And this church was the landmark of Vienna when people arrived here in the city, as of course all the buildings around did not exist at that time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again we pass the part where the place where the shuttle buses arrive and leave. And so here, this monument was built on the opposite side of the white building in front of you. Onto your left-hand side, this is Konzerthaus, a concert hall where the Vienna Symphonic Orchestra performs. Well, I told you that Vienna, it is called the city of music. And also this goes back to the Habsburgs, as many of them were interested in music a lot. Many of them did music on their own. And so composers, if they were born in Vienna or not, when they came to Vienna, they found perfect working conditions here in the city of Vienna. Well, onto your left-hand side in front, a Philharmonic Orchestra performs. And the most famous concert for sure, it's the New Year's concert, which takes place in the Golden Hall. It is March. So whenever you listen to the New Year's concert by the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra, remember you stay here in Vienna. So it takes place in the building onto your right-hand side. But onto your left.
Ich finde den Film mal von meinem
Hier bleibt.
Nein, nur jetzt Überbrückung und dann wechseln wir wieder.
Dürft ja nicht weiter im Weihnachtsmarkt bleiben. Über die auch zum Lachen. Ja. Hallo.
back.
And as you're coming into this electrical courtyard here, this used to be part of the moat around
Oldest. Entrance to the treasury. Crown jewels.
Where you sneeze and pick it in.
Beautiful green marble facade, beautiful bay windows, and especially inside it's a very innovative architecture. And the buildings like that, we say, kitschy. But you know that your knees always take a little bit of time, but not very so around 100 years, that's enough.
well, they do a
Pedestrian street.
Oh, this is the,
Where they have the
yeah,
bakery?
the high price street, Rodeo Drive. Got some nice shops over here.
Uh-huh.
Or are they coming or what? Are they coming to order from us?
I don't know. I think you have to get it here.
Ooh, that looks good.
And a cup of coffee. What, we're green?
No, I think we were red this time. Yeah, I see her. She's red.
We're red?
Yeah, whose idea was it?
Was it yours?
I'm tired of fishing about the other deal.
Well, how you walking?
Ooh, what's this?
Part of North Carolina is up in the mountains. Oh, we know where that is. Our friends have a cabin.
Gedächtniskirche is Emperor Francis Joseph Jubilee Memorial Church. Remember it. I will ask you at the end of the tour. In German, of course, not in English. You have to feel very imperial because this means emperor, and Kaiserin, always with an in at the end, it's the female form, it's empress. Kaiser und Kaiserin. Kaiserin, it's the empress, and Kaiser, it's the emperor. And the Austrian title was the Archduke. So every member of the Habsburg who was born became automatically an Archduke. This was the, you know, a duke. Okay, everyone can be a duke, but an arch.
Just the train station.
Back to your train.
Run that way.
But not in like a school cover outside.
How's that?
So this is the entrance. This is where we go inside. It's also where you will come out at the end of the tour. And then to go to the gardens, you have to walk.
You guys, turn around and wave.
Hello. Hey. Hi, Peggy.
Hi.
Here we are at the Habsburg Castle.
I think you're the official photographer, Peggy.
Yeah, right there to the Sid. Mark, turn around.
So let's sit. Which way you want to go? Yes, how would you like to go? Medium rare. Would you like some baked potato?
Recommended
Steak, baked potato or steak?